it is official. Divorce really is like a grief, and as much as people laugh at how long we were married, I think my expectations made it real, my hope made it real, my effort made it real, my tears made it real. So I'm crying for that girl that I was at the beginning of this marriage, when I was so hopeful. And I had less baggage. And I was optimistic. And I was healed. And I'm crying for that marriage that I thought could work. I'm crying for that man I believed he was. That man he convinced me he was in the beginning. And in between all that very scheduled filming, there was good moments in there. There was connection, and then cameras left and shit hit the wall. But don't get it twisted. I may be crying and I may be sad right now, but I'm happy that I'm moving forward. I'm happy that I'm out of something that no longer works for me. Something that drained the life out of me. It makes you question yourself, you know? Like, I question my judgment. I question myself. Like, if my own husband couldn't see the value in me, then what the fuck? You know? It's really done now. So I release it. I don't have...
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're giving you a live based on Love is Blind, and we're talking about the Jarette and Iyanna situation. Iyanna's come onto our screens once more, and it's talking about the fact that obviously, the relationship between her and Jarette didn't work out. Now, there's a part 2 of this clip, so I'm going to play the part 2 after I introduce myself. But listen, I want to be very honest and frank with you. Just because she's crying, does that mean that Jarette now is the villain? I saw so many posts and so many tweets by people on Twitter giving their whole think pieces about men and men like Jarette. And I was like, hold on a minute. Before we get to that stage, let's not forget she chose somebody who was choosing her second. Now, it's making me think, is this something that women think differently to us as men? Did women choose men second? Do women choose second choice men and settle for it, and so they assume that men also do this as well? Because I'm really asking that question. That's a real question. If you're here, there's 24 people so far growing. I want to ask that real question. Do women choose their second option and settle and make it work, and then expect men also to do the same? So that's why they were able to choose and think it will get that way, right? Because I'm so confused as to, we're talking about how Jarette wasn't ready for marriage. I think he wasn't ready for you. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think he was ready for you. Let's make it clear. He's not ready for you. And I think that's very much more different to not being ready for marriage. Because I saw some behaviors of Iyanna I wasn't comfortable with. Now, that's not to say that Jarette wasn't a whole buffoon by going out late and doing anything. He was trying to avoid being in her presence, and that's what he was doing. He was trying to avoid deeper connection with her. And the reality is, he lied to himself and he lied to her as well. So there was a part of deception in here when he wasn't being honest with himself. But there's also an art of deception on Iyanna's part. There's no way after, and I'm not talking about even you seeing him cry, because that cry thing was mad. But obviously, I'm talking about the fact that, once you find out that him and Mallory had that connection, and you actually kind of find out that he proposed to Mallory and she said no. Like, at that point, you don't want to be going forward in that marriage, right? At that point, we got to annul the marriage. Even if I find out during the marriage, this is what happened, I'm going to say, I'm going to annul that marriage, because I'm sorry, you're not about to choose me second. I know what happens when people choose people second. That ain't going to end well. But listen, if you're new to the channel, like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the lows. And for those of you returnees, you already know what it is. You got the minerals. Let's get into this video. There's a part 2, and I want to bring that to you guys. And really, I started speaking about this because I saw so many comments, so many from ladies, trying to hold Jarette accountable, wanting to let him pay for his crimes. And I'm like, let's not forget a woman chose a man who had chosen her second. Now, he's a prick for even trying to even marry Iyanna, right? Because once you married Mallory, you can't offer Iyanna what you need to honor. All that nonsense that I heard from him about, it was real close call and I had 2 girls. No, I need men to stop this nonsense, okay? That's what I'm going to hold Jarette accountable for. I need men to stop with the buffoonery of pretending as if you had 2 people equally who you liked. The reality is you had 2 people, one who you really liked, the other was propping up the other one, so that if in case that first one didn't work, you had power in the situation. We need to stop lying to our damn selves. I hate it. I honestly detest it. I honestly can't stand it. Both men and women do this, but I'm talking about what Jarette did. You proposed to Mallory. I don't need you then proposing to Iyanna. It's buffoonery and idiocracy and madness to me, and you have caused your own misery, right? If you're now divorced, it's because you are a madman for now trying to marry a girl who's your second choice. It was okay to walk away from the experiment and say, do you know what, Iyanna, I appreciate you, but I proposed to Mallory and I know that that's what my heart was. And unfortunately, I got rejected. I'm in tears. I'm broken. It's okay. Let me go and regroup myself. Okay. Right. So Jarette has to hold smoke. And when he looks back at his life, he has to be accountable. He has to be. You have to look back and think to yourself, why do you think this was acceptable to go ahead with a situation knowing that they weren't your first choice? No. Right? I need you to get out your heads. I need it. No. There are rules of engagement that need to happen here. But let's watch the rest of the clip and then we'll talk some more, right? Because I want to get into it.
I don't have to keep pouring into someone who doesn't have the capacity to pour back. Now I can just focus on my friends and my family. The people who do see the value in me, the people who are supporting me, and the people who are reminding me who I am. And how they see me and how God sees me. A new chapter. Really a whole new book. It's a good thing. No more tears. I'm tired of being a fucking sad girl. I'm tired of it. All right. Bye.
Okay, so look, I don't want anyone to think I don't empathize with Iyanna. I do. I empathize. I definitely do. I understand it's painful going through breakups and divorces. Never easy, and they're painful and they hurt. And actually, I'll be real with you, it is one of the worst pains you can ever feel. It's like you're being torn from the inside. Your heart aches. You don't want to eat. You don't want to sleep. In fact, maybe you know what? You do want to sleep. You want to sleep. You want to sleep, and you just want the day to go by. You know what I mean? And you're not comfortable with life at that point in time, and you just wish for it to speed up and get to that point where life is good again and you can breathe once more again, because it feels like the oxygen is being sucked from around you. So don't get it twisted. I do understand where she's coming from. What I'm trying to propose and make understood is we have to be accountable sometimes, because what's happening is we start to not take accountability for our own misery. You are in the situation you're in because you chose somebody who you had enough information about, didn't choose you first. I look, I get it. I do understand it. Look, Let me tell you myself, right? I look at all the relationships I've had in the past. I've told you about the story about the cheating one where the person cheated on me. And I traced it all the way back to the very beginning. And I said, but didn't God tell you not to enter that relationship? But didn't you notice at the very beginning there were red flags? But you decided to push on. Why? Because you remember saying directly, I got this. I can handle this. Do you remember the time when you had a conversation, the very first conversation, and the person said something that you was like, oh, actually, that's not going to work. So you can't now sit on my net, come crying on the net and say this person was X, Y, and Z. That's not to say they weren't X, Y, and Z. Of course, give me that information. Tell me it's X, Y, and Z. But then at the end, let me know that I shouldn't have been there in the first place. I shouldn't have chosen that person in the first place. And this is the part I have issue with when it comes to situations like this, that we label one party as the madman, especially men. But oftentimes women can see these red flags and they're like, why are you going for it? Why did you say yes? You're acting as if you weren't complicit in your own misery. What did look? I talk about Jarette, and I spoke about Jarette, and I mentioned it through the whole season. Talking about this guy was crying for Mallory in a towel, so it was Mallory who he really wanted. That's who he really wanted. Iyanna wasn't the main one that he wanted, right? Okay. Now he has to be accountable here, where it's you decide to then apply and marry Iyanna, knowing you've already proposed to somebody else. You are tapped. Tapped. At that point, you're tapped, right? At that point, you're tapped. Because there is no need to go back into the pod and then ask Iyanna. Now, and that's what I'm saying to you, that he must be held accountable. And when he looks at his life, I don't want to hear complaints about Iyanna weren't the right one, because you knew that, because you proposed somebody else. You had a choice between the two, Iyanna and Mallory, and you chose Mallory. You thought that would be the perfect person for you. And you were not wrong. It might have worked with you, Mallory. But the reality is, when it came down to it, she rejected you. And in that moment, you shouldn't have, in that rejection, you shouldn't have gone again back into the pods and then smile up, 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 smile up some more. Have more conversation behind the screen, talking about it, when all you need to really say, hey, can I be honest with you? Can I be real with you? I just got rejected from Mallory, and I can't marry you, right? I'm not in that space right now. Love to be friends though. Maybe we can be friends, because I really appreciate your time, your effort, and your emotions that you gave to me. Okay, all right. So the reality here is that that was the biggest flaw in all of this. Now, in terms of what Jarette was doing, can I be very honest too? Him being such an extrovert, dating somebody who was such an introvert. Also, with that, on top of it, what people don't like talking about is how in the relationship between Iyanna and him, Iyanna's insecurity was not cute. It just made things so much more difficult. Her insecurity was not cute. And I pointed out some of her moral I told you about, and I pointed it out. And this is why I have issues, because whenever we talk about relationships, we always talk about the obvious glare of a man and what he does. And when it comes to women, we kind of like go, well, she had a reason why she did what she did. And I pointed it out. I did videos on it. I said, watch her carefully. The insecurity was a huge problem. Big. So when she's talking about I'm healed, I was like, baby, were you? Because what I saw on my screen, I saw somebody who was very insecure. And insecurity is a very dangerous thing. See, we always see that in men. We see that in Matt, right? We can see that with Matt. We can see that with Matt and Colleen, right? Everyone can point it out. Oh my God, Matt's insecure. Look how he's behaving. Because it always ends up with more of aggressive feel. I saw the same thing in Iyanna. Hers is not aggressive. When women become insecure, they're not going to slap you up upon your head. What they start to become is controlling. And they do it in ways of comments and then moral superiority. They try to show you that you are the worst character of the two, but really it's just your insecurity. And it starts to seep into the relationship. Now, am I blaming her for the breakdown of the relationship? No, I'm saying, when I don't do this thing where you're trying to hold only one party accountable as if, oh, men are all trash. No. Let's keep it a buck. Let's not pretend that you were clean here, Iyanna. Okay, let's not pretend that. All right. You were almost asking the brother to throw out some stuff that he got from an ex or a friend, or I can't remember what it was at one point, right? You were doing the most. And then at reunion, I did a whole video about it. At the reunion, not reunion, but the where they now, and they were sitting down talking, and I said, listen to the way listen to the pattern of the speech that she's bringing. She's now putting herself in this moral superior angle, and I said that's going to become an issue. That is an issue in relationships. So I don't just get moved because you're giving me tears on my screen and everyone's writing think pieces about how trash men are without really considering all the things that happen along the way. I'm not giving him an excuse, but I'm not giving her an excuse either. And I'm saying both need to be held accountable and both need to understand where this went wrong. And whoever's going to learn that lesson about where it went wrong and why, what they inputted and why they inputted what they inputted is going to grow the quickest and actually stand a better chance of having a much more longer term relationship. Just because she's crying on our big boy internet does not mean now I have to write a think piece about how trash men are. Right. And that's all I was seeing on Twitter. I was like, how was all these think pieces on Twitter that people are writing about men? Huh? And I think sometimes ladies don't help other ladies. Look, sometimes they'll be look, here's a comment. He definitely wasn't ready for a woman like her. I hope her support system loves on her and uplifts her during this time. But he isn't a horror. This was a good one, by the way. Sorry, this was my bad. This was a good one. He definitely wasn't ready for a woman like her. I hope her support system loves on her, uplift her during this time. But he's also isn't a horrible guy. Just hasn't grown up a level of maturity that equates marriage. They both made a bad decision. And then someone quote on this: when will we stop blaming victims for the behaviors of grown people? If he wasn't ready or mature enough, then the onus was on him to acknowledge that and work on himself. She can't read minds and intentions. Please stop both siding everything. And here's my biggest issue with this as well. You ain't even holding Iyanna accountable to the fact that she made a choice that was so poor. How do you just look? No. Let's keep it a buck now. How do you make a choice to choose somebody who doesn't choose you? About victim. Where's the victim? You are a victim of yourself and your own decisions. I need people just to be accountable for themselves. That's what I want. It gets tiring. Because you're going to be sitting here wallowing about, I was pouring into a cup that went pouring back into me. And you chose it. You chose that cup to pour into. Nobody told you to choose it. Nobody forced you. You chose it. So whilst he's a problem, talk about yourself. Talk about where you went wrong. Talk about the fact that you also have issues that also contribute towards a fall down of relationship. You're not perfect. I need people to understand this. This is where relationships begin to fall because oftentimes, and this is me coaching, oftentimes it becomes he does da, 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 he does da, 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 da. And I'm looking at it going, so what do? You don't do anything. You're not a mess. And it's like it's one-sided a lot of the times in terms of when these situations happen. You know what I mean? So he might not have been great. I don't know the full story because we only got her side. We didn't get his side of the story. We only got her side. So we need the other side of the story in terms of what happened in the relationship. But obviously, in that situation, as Nafali just said it there, her accountability lies on, first choice, why she chose to go with this situation, knowing that she was second choice at that point in given time. So yes, it's surreal in that moment. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see people going on any of these type of shows. Going on a reality TV show to do dating is asking the world to just fire you up. Um, you know, uh, you know, So it was a problem there. That's the that's the difficulty. It's tough out here. So so I think again, this situation um, we need to be honest with ourselves and be real with it, and so that we don't end up in situations that are not beneficial for us. You know what I mean? Like it's unfortunate, but it's the reality of life. I don't go where the wolves are. I don't. There are certain streets in certain nations. We all don't walk down that street. Do you know why? Because we know that bad things happen. It's not fair. Why is it that there's certain streets I can't walk down? That don't make no sense. Because we understand, unfortunately, that's how the world works. To pretend as if, oh, but how can we blame the victim, and the victim can't be blamed because no. Stop that. Stop that right there. Okay, stop that right there. Okay, you need to know there are certain streets in this life you don't walk down. There are certain things in relationships that we just don't do, even though everybody should be a good person. They're not. It's the reality of things, you know. So this is yeah. And do you know what? And do you know what? The Queen won't quit. Do you know why they come out more damaged in Love Is Blind? It's because they genuinely do open themselves up to having conversations that they would never usually have with people. And because you don't see them, you start building deep emotional connections. So you start to care for people a lot. The reality is when you reveal things when you reveal the how people look and stuff as well, that does impact how they're going to perceive things. Now here's my thing. I'm never going on Love Is Blind thinking I'm going to get a partner. If I go on Love Is Blind, I'm playing too, because there is no way y'all gonna put me on the show with people that I'm incompatible with and think I'm gonna play this game and get married. You must be mad. Okay? You must be mad. Okay? You must be mad. Now, something like Ready to Love or something like where you don't become married but you become boyfriend and girlfriend is better. But I'm not going on a TV show organized by people, put me in a space where they're now controlling my life. No, sorry. I won't do it. But let's go back to, just want to go back to some of the comments. So there's someone said, she's such a sweetheart. Let me show you this so you can see it as well. It's what I'll be looking at on Twitter. Somebody's comments, she's such a sweetheart, and I don't know what went on in the marriage, but it's obvious he broke her spirit. And I'm just glad that she made a decision to look forward. Jarette knew he didn't love her and still went forward with marriage when he knew he was for the streets. Wicked man. What's the wickedness? What's wickedness? This is what happens when you start making men devils. You don't learn your lesson. Stop making men devils, because the Bible tells us not to be ignorant of the devices of the devil. So if you are going to make them the devil, you still want to be accountable. You notice that there's no scapegoat. Like, you notice that, like, you make men devils, and yet still the Bible tells us, do not be ignorant of the devices of the devil. So you have to be accountable for you. And just because it didn't work out, just because you poured into him and he couldn't really pour back into you, does not now make him a devil. You know what I mean? Look, you wanted him to stop going out so much. He cut it back. He just didn't cut it back enough, and that's poor. And you know what I mean? That's not beneficial to your relationship. And he has to deal with that. He's got some growing to do. He's got some major growing to do that he needs to get involved. I do want to go back to the clip though, because I think there was some deeper things in there that I wanted to kind of just champion them quickly. Let's get back into this. Okay.
It is official. Divorce really is like a grief, and as much as people laugh at how long we were married, I think my expectations made it real, my hope made it real, my effort made it real, my tears made it real. So I'm crying for that girl that I was at the beginning of this marriage, when I was so hopeful. I had less baggage, and I was optimistic, and I was healed. And I'm crying for that marriage that I thought could work. I'm crying for that man I believed he was. That man he convinced me he was in the beginning. And in between all that very scheduled filming, there was good moments in there. There was connection, and then cameras left and shit hit the wall. But don't get it twisted. I may be crying and I may be sad right now, but I'm happy that I'm moving forward. I'm happy that I'm out of something that no longer works for me. Something that drained the life out of me. It makes you question yourself, Like, I question my judgment. I question myself. Like, If my own husband couldn't see the value in me, then what the fuck? You know?
And listen, I think this is the most keyest part as well. I think this is the keyest part as well. You know, the repercussions of a breakup, and this happens to anybody. Repercussion of a breakup is that you do start to consider, am I valuable? Am I enough? Da, 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 da. And that's got nothing to do with Jarette. Can I be honest with you? Listen, you break up with anybody. You break up anybody. In most cases, we've all felt it before. You break up with a partner, you start feeling like, am I good enough? Like, will someone love me again? Will someone give me the same love that they gave me? It can be a good breakup, and you still gonna feel it. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want people to read too much into it. The fact that she's crying and saying about, can't see the value in me, because we all have these thoughts. And you know what? Also, people forget as well her background. No, I'm not gonna forget the background, because background's important too. Okay, all right, adopted. That situation too, what she spoke about her whole entire life and how it actually formulated to where she got to right now. Look, let's not pretend as if, like, she was coming in whole all the way through. So of course the impact of whatever he's done is going to be multiplied, but I'm not going to take it as solely as he's the full impact of why she's feeling the way she's feeling. Look, breakups do that to you. Breakups make you feel like you are not good enough anymore because somebody has broken up with you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be reading too much and trying to put that on Jarette. I'm telling you now, look, Jarette, if you're hearing me now, bro, you gonna need to check yourself, okay? And you gonna need to see how your behavior was not conducive to this marriage. And you gonna have to learn, because if you don't, you gonna be divorcing again. Your number two, you're going to be going on your number two marriage now. So whatever lessons you didn't learn with Iyanna, you're going to learn it in your next marriage. And if you don't, you'll break up again. And you'll be asking some really key questions about yourself, about whether you really can be in relationships long term. Now with Iyanna, my final kind of thoughts on this really specifically as well, is, you know, um, it's, it's wild. You know what I mean? Like, um I'm not happy that this has happened, but I'm glad that she's getting, on the treadmill and going forward, and she's letting go of that relationship as well, and is considering a new destination for herself, because at the end of the day, that relationship wasn't for her, and that's fine. The marriage wasn't for her with Jarette. That's fine. But let's be accountable, and let's actually realize that we contributed something towards this. It's not just I poured into a cup that wasn't really, trying to return it. Let's also be honest. Where did we go wrong? And it was at the very beginning. The start was all wrong. The foundation was all wrong. The person chose somebody else. Yeah. It can't be me, that's for sure. RP, absolutely. This is a reality of life. Honestly, I felt like she went into marriage with insecurities. She wasn't able to accept that Jarette wanted Mallory and should have never moved forward with this relationship. Absolutely, because she had her reserves. She had her reservations about the situation the whole entire time. All right. And listen, don't get it twisted. I know he tried to convince her. But let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. The reality is, in this situation, that you had reservations, and that's what I'm saying about when you have those reservations like that so deeply, because that someone, you need to quit. But because someone said it earlier on, you get lonely, you feel like you're going to be alone. That's why people then don't end up not quitting the situation. People will get married even when they know their partner is moving mad, and they'll stay. Right? So the reason, and now if she, and here's my biggest caveat for anybody listening to this, my final few words, sorry. Here's my biggest thing for anybody listening to this. You're always going to feel like your discernment or your ability to choose the right partner, it becomes scary when you don't take accountability. Listen to me very, very well. It becomes scary about choosing a partner when we don't take accountability for the fact that we made mistakes in our choices. When we make it about, oh my God, they treated me wrong, they lied to me, all men lied to me, all women lied to me, all women want is my money, all men want is just to have my poussoir, and you make it about that and not about why you made that choice, not realize what's resonating from you, you are always going to be scared about making that choice because you don't know why you made a choice in the first place, and you don't know how to stop it in future. Right? You don't have to stop in future. So, at the end of the day, if you sit down with yourself, you take accountability and say, do you know what? I made these choices. Now I need to figure out why I made these choices. What, step by step, how did I get here? Then that removes this obstacle, because I realize the obstacle for a lot of people is, how do I do better? The how question is what makes people stop taking accountability and force it onto somebody else. And they're the issue. No. The how question, figure it out. If you need to study, ask questions, get a therapist, whatever, you've got to be able to answer the how did I get here? Why am I here? If you don't, you will always be scared. I can't make a decision because you will always make the decision. This RP, thank you as well for pointing this out. Thank you for pointing this out. And that is why I keep saying that a lot of people can point out Jarette and point out people like Matt and point out I don't know. There we go. It's easy to point out these men because it's evident that this insecurity comes out in a particular way. But when it comes to women like Iyanna, she was literally putting herself down at the very beginning. I remember this as well, and I spoke about the insecurity. Oh, you can go and watch back my reviews for that season 2. I spoke about this, and you're absolutely right. It is very difficult, and it is a burden to someone when you are insecure. But you notice no one really talks about that. When men are insecure, people are like, oh my God, it's too much to handle. Why should a woman have to handle that? A lady having to handle somebody who's insecure, he's not even confident in himself. Why should she have to handle that? The same thing. Why do we want to handle that? We don't. We don't want to handle that. We don't want to handle that. We don't want to handle that. Right? And so that can force me away from you. So yeah. Like it, share, subscribe. I'm gonna leave it as it is, guys. I'm gonna do another live after this. I've got another live inspired by some of my posts I've been putting up on Instagram of late, but I'm gonna put another live up so you guys can see it as well. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you like it, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked, solid. We're gonna be having another live in a second or two, so stick around at least on the YouTube, and it should pop up on your screen in a second or two. In fact, what I will do is I'll send you guys a link in the chat so you guys can see it as well. Okay. All right. So you guys can also get it as well. So here we go. So I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys as well. All right. Link for the next live I'm going to do quickly as well. Much appreciation, guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. And for those of you watching the replay, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you agree. Let me know.